Well, hello, as it begins to storm. There's an old John Cougar Mellencamp song where Granny is singing, "'Twas a dark, stormy night, da-da-da-da-da-da." But I prefer Jimi Hendrix. Rainy Day, Go Away, I think it goes. We have some great stuff for you. Now, I don't have a mouse in my pocket, so I have some great stuff for you. We have restaurants in North Texas demanding illegals get hired, that we allow illegals to stay because the restaurant industry is getting stressed and doesn't want to charge too much money. I have a big comment on that. I have some props on that, physical props I'll show you. Also, I have when will the runoff end? Like at what point will the runoff be that you can't drop out? There was a certain point in the runoff between Paxton and Cornyn where you cannot drop out. I'll give you that point. Also, Talarico. It's satanic, really. It's abomination of God's word. And again, I'm not going to get angry about him, but I'm going to tell the truth. This is 2 Timothy 4:3 from NASB version 1995. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but wanting to have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance to their own desires. That's James Talarico in a nutshell. Also, Muslim accommodations in public schools. This is a whole new school district. It is not just happening in one district. This is another North Texas school district making accommodations for Muslims and their prayers and their fasting. All that is coming up. This is Croc Talk with Chris Croc. But first, this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com. IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. On stormy nights like we're at right now, you need to make sure you have a good tax man, and that is Randy Martin from IRSprob.com. Who else can handle this massive file for my taxes? He hasn't gotten it yet, but it's I have to go through and put all my stuff together before I give it over to Randy Martin at IRSprob.com. If you have IRS problems, call him. Okay. North Texas, this is from Fox 4. North Texas food leaders back Dignity Act to solve immigration labor shortage. They're saying that they can't afford, they're going to have to jack up prices, and illegals are important to them to work at their restaurants. This is my prop. I am extraordinarily proud of this. And I mean this. For some reason, I have been buying New Balance shoes and only them. This is not an endorsement. I'm not being paid to do this. I only shop at the high-end New Balance store with the high-end shoes. Got to get good shoes. These shoes are made in America. Can you believe it? Praise God for that. Made in America. You have to zoom in. These shoes used to be $125. I think they went up to $150, but these are $200 shoes. But I am damn proud they are made in America. I will pay the extra $50 to have badass New Balance shoes. That's what I got. Same concept with the restaurant. I will pay more for a restaurant if it means we're not hiring illegals. And so no, and by the way, Fox 4's Alex Boyer calls them immigrants. He lies and calls them immigrants instead of illegals. Alex Boyer, why are you lying? They are not immigrants. They are illegal aliens. They are illegal immigrants. There is a massive difference between my mother-in-law. Well, how was it? No, it's like my wife, her dad got remarried, and her name is Enriqueta, and she's from Venezuela. She came here legally. She's an immigrant. James Boyer, you are falsely reporting that she is no different than illegals. Shame on you. Here's a little bit of the headline, the information on this. North Texas restaurant owners and farmers said the immigration crackdown, illegal immigration crackdown, Alex Boyer, is hurting their businesses, or as I like to say, their businesses, by limiting the workforce. Changes, now restaurants are calling for policy changes in support of immigrant workers. James means illegal immigrant workers. Labor shortages, they say, are driving up food prices, forcing restaurant closures. The Dignity Act. Dignity. Is there anything that's is there any dignity in hiring illegals under the table? The Dignity Act seeks bipartisan solution for legal work permits to long-term vetted immigrants. Alex Boyer, you mean illegal immigrants? Hey, we're not going to do this. There's no way in hell we're going to do this. You know why? Joe Biden. You can thank Joe Biden. When we were invaded by up to 23 million illegals in 4 years, whether it's 12 million, 20 million, 20, I don't care. That is the end. Every illegal must get out of this country, and you can thank Joseph R. Biden Jr., especially if you voted for him. Pat yourself on the back. Don't break it. Go ahead and break your arm patting yourself on the back how awesome you are for having this country invaded with illegals. There is nothing on the table for us. This is my answer right here. Pay the extra money. Made in America. I'm going to keep using that. I'm going to keep going down and using that for a prop. Tuesday, a group of hospitality leaders held a virtual news conference. The Texas Restaurant Association says that 20% of the restaurant workforce is made up of immigrants. Alex Boyer, you mean illegal immigrants. Also, what do I have for you tonight? This is important. The Texas scorecard tells us when must Texas runoff candidates decide whether or not to drop out. Because at a certain point, they cannot drop out. I mean, I suppose they can, but they'll still be on the ballot, and they'll still have the election will still go through the primary runoff. Texas election code says until 5 p.m. the third day after the state canvass is completed. What does that mean? Paxton and Cornyn have till 5 p.m. Tuesday, March 17th, as the crow flies. You're not supposed to use that for time, but that's okay. As the crow flies! 1 week from today, Tuesday, the 17th, 7 days from now, is at 5 p.m. You cannot withdraw after that. The elections will go ahead. So that's when Cornyn should withdraw by, not Paxton. Speaking of Cornyn, very important. Cornyn creates faith advisory group while ramping up character attacks on Paxton. I tweeted this out earlier. I said, I can pull up my tweet about it. It said something like, "This is cheap and fake. It's not going to work." Yeah, I'm not even going to look up my tweet. It says something to that effect. This is cheap and it's fake and it's not going to work. I'm not going to vote for Cornyn because of this. Now, let me tell you something else, too. You have several high-profile evangelical pastors, including my pastor, Dr. Robert Jeffress from First Baptist Dallas. I love my church home. And by the way, send a message if you want, or PM me, DM me, whatever. But or publicly do a message or post on my on this feed whenever you watch it. I teach Sunday school not every week. I fill in. I'd say 1 to 2 times a month typically. I'm thinking about doing the Sunday school lesson, after I teach it and just doing it. It would be separate from my show. Let me know what you think of that. It's turned out to be the way to serve God for me that took me many years to come around to see after getting the opportunity to do it, and it's amazing. I love it so much. Teacher always learns more than the pupils. Okay, so Dr. Jeffress, Jack Graham from Prestonwood, Gus Reyes from blah, 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 Max Lucado from in San Antonio, which is a huge church there, too. He's got a lot of respect. It still doesn't mean anything to me. I'm still going to vote for who I want to vote for, and that's John Cornyn. I'm sorry. I'm Ken Paxton, excuse me. I'm quoting my pastor. I'm not trying to, he's not going to mind. I'm not going after him, but I'm quoting him when he says we don't vote for Trump because he's going to be our Sunday school teacher. Wouldn't vote for him for that. I'm voting for him to be the president because his policies best represent my biblical values, and Cornyn does not. We all know that. Cornyn is not bold. Cornyn is not unafraid. He is a milquetoast Republican who said Trump cannot win in 2024 and said he should not win, should not run, period. So there's your answer on that. Now, you have to hear this one. James Talarico, and I have the soundbite. I can play it for you here in just a second. Where is James Talarico in the particular soundbite I'm looking for? This is it right here. This is a must-hear, and I have a must-hear reply that I retweeted. James Talarico said this. Here we go.
You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases.
Let's play that again.
You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases.
You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases, says James Talarico. But you can with an abortion? Is that what you're saying, James Talarico? You can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with greenhouse gases, but you can destroy God's creation and call yourself a Christian with an abortion. Do you see what happens when you go outside of God's word and add words to it, or try to take away from words or bastardize what he says? It doesn't make sense. It contradicts itself. There are 66 chapters of the Bible. There is nothing in the entire Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, that contradicts itself. James Talarico is a fraud. That's why he just contradicted himself. And I'm not some rocket scientist here. Although this is brain surgery, what I do here. Again, you can't call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation without greenhouse gases, says James Talarico. But yet James Talarico says you can call yourself a Christian and destroy God's creation with an abortion. How about that, huh? Now, James Talarico, this is the exact scriptural quotation. Forgive me for not reading this to you now, because this is who he is in a nutshell. 2 Timothy 4, verse 3. NASB 1995, New American Standard Bible. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, James Talarico, but wanting to have their ears tickled, people that would vote for him. Woohoo! I'm a Christian. He's Christian. But wanting to hear their ears tickled, have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance with their own desires. This is your teacher in accordance with your own desires. Gay marriage, abortion, trans. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but wanting to have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance to their own desires. 2 Timothy 4:3. I got more James Talarico. You know, and I know it's an endless well with him, and I'm not going to keep playing the same ones over and over again, so I got some new ones. I just let them come and go to me, and then I play them for you. Here's one that I haven't played yet. Let's see, where are you? And I'm going to comment, of course, on them. Hold on, where'd you go, James? Okay, there we go.
So most Americans, and I'm talking 90, 95%, do not believe that an embryo is a legal person.
Well, we know that God believes that an embryo is a person, because he says, "For I knew you before I knitted you in your mother's womb."
Now, the embryo is biologically alive. That is certainly true. But being alive and being a person are two different things.
Wow. God says in his Bible, in his word, "For I knew you before I knitted you in your mother's womb." And this guy, what a fraud.
That's an important distinction to make in these conversations. So the reason I think you have a lot of pro-choice people who push back against the idea that abortion is immoral is because they believe that it is not. That in these situations, when there is an unwanted pregnancy, it is moral for a woman to be able to control her own body, or any one of our neighbors with a uterus to be able to control their own body.
Neighbors with a uterus, but more importantly, he is worshiping the god Moloch, who demands little g God, who demands child sacrifice. That is evil. That is exactly what that is, and he represents and he preaches lies and evil. Sound doctrine, they forsake it, and they like getting their ears tickled with words that people like James Talarico preach that are false, but make them feel good about themselves and about their sins. I think I have one more about James I don't mean to preach too much at you, but here we are. Here's another one James Talarico came out today, came across my wire today.
Christ is the immigrant, deported without due process.
Christ is not the immigrant deported without due process. Christ did not violate the laws. He did not violate the laws. Christ was not an illegal immigrant. In fact, God's word says in Romans 13, if you obey the laws of the land, you have nothing to fear. But if you disobey the law, Romans 13:1 is a very short chapter. It's not very long. And if you disobey the laws of the land, you have every reason to fear, says God in his word from St. Paul, the most prolific author of the New Testament. He says, because God installed the government. God installed the government. Whether you like the government or not, he installed them, and he gives the government the sword for a reason. The sword's not there to tickle you or your ears. It's to chop off your freaking head. So if you obey the laws, you have nothing to fear. But if you disobey them, you should fear, because God gave the government a sword for a reason, and God installed the government. James Talarico, there's so many chapters of the Bible have to be ripped out or, molested to believe this false doctrine.
Christ is the senior, deprived of their Social Security benefits.
I don't even know what that is. Christ is the senior, deprived of Social Security benefits. That makes no sense.
Christ is the protester kidnapped in an unmarked vehicle by plainclothes officers.
Now, that's an outright lie. First of all, nobody's being kidnapped. Number two, Christ was not illegal, nor would he be illegal. Christ preached following the law. And he said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Follow the freaking law. Now, I think I might have one more for you, too. Let's see here. Yes, one more. This is from, I think, CBS Mornings. Here we go. Let's see what he has for us here. Ready?
I saw how military disasters like the Iraq War robbed this nation of young lives, of billions of dollars, of our moral standing in the world. And I worry that our current leaders are repeating those same mistakes. I was in Sand Branch, Texas, which is a community south of Dallas that doesn't have running water. It doesn't have basic sewer infrastructure. So every dollar we spend bombing people in the Middle East is a dollar we're not spending in Sand Branch, Texas, or in our communities here at home. We're always told that we don't have enough money for schools or for health care or for our veterans, but there's always enough money to bomb people on the other side of the world. And so we can support the democracy movement in Iran. We can prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, all without bombing innocent school children or sending our American troops off to die on the other side of the world.
Representative.
In Chicago, I think they're spending $30,000 per student. In New York City, I think they're spending $40,000 per student. Money is not the issue. We educate people for half or a third of what New York City and Chicago educate for, and we have better results. That is a lie and a sin to waste more money on something, claiming you're helping it. The real problem is the teachers' unions and the control in the Democrat Party and its refusal to allow vouchers, school choice, etc. It's the civil rights issue of our time, and I thank God that our governor, Greg Abbott, and our Republican legislature put this into law that we have vouchers up to $10,000. Let me tell you something. One of the things that you get there is if you're homeschooling like my family and I did, we sacrificed a hell a lot. And we will not be getting this because my son is 22 and he just graduated. He's about to turn 23. I can't believe it. My daughter is 19 now. And we didn't get this because she's in college. My point being is this, though. My kids are the boy's like an A+ student and the daughter's like an A- to B+ student in college. But we homeschooled them, and we never got this, but you will get this if you homeschool, $2,000 per pupil. And it angers my wife and I to hear these things, but that's okay because you can do it now. And if we can homeschool, because none of us are teachers, then you can do it too. And it's not for everybody. Just want to share that, though. And then healthcare. James Talarico says healthcare. It's not a right, James. And throwing money at healthcare is going to waste more money. You would support and vote for Obamacare, which was designed to destroy our healthcare system and turn it into government subsidized healthcare, like in Canada and Britain, where people suffer and have 4 or 5 people to one room and have to wait and are in pain, and the ones who have money flee the country to go get good medical care. Where? In the United States of America. I'm going to tell you something. James Talarico is not going to win. And James Talarico is not going to win if it's John Cornyn. And James Talarico is not going to win if it is Ken Paxton. Mark my words right now, and here's why. He is so insanely radical, and he is so highly offensive to Christians. Like, you can be a Baptist or an AME black church that is Democrat all the way. But If your church sticks to true doctrine, you don't want to be told there's 6 genders, and you will reject that. If your church sticks to doctrine, a black church, most of them, at least the members, will not support gay marriage. There are so many things this guy stands for that are an abomination, whether it be in black churches, and the average independent, when they find out that he says 6 genders, trans, and all this stuff, there is so much radicalism in this guy's history that will be exposed and beaten down to a fine pulp after the primaries here in the next week. Then he's not gonna. It's not gonna work. He's not gonna win. And I will admit this. One of my followers, Rob, I think is his name, Rob Nolan. He calls me out all the time, but he loves what I do, and he's a big supporter. He's been a fan of mine since I was on the radio here for years, and I love him because he calls me out, and he's a contrarian with me. Sometimes he annoys me because he's right, or at least. But he said something. He said Cornyn has a much better chance. You have to admit that, and the answer is yes. Cornyn has a better chance of getting more votes in Texas than Paxton does. But Paxton's going to vote and do the things that I want to do more than Cornyn ever will and would. That's why I'm voting for Paxton, not for Cornyn. But they will both win against James Talarico. Cornyn will win by a wider margin because he's milquetoast, less offensive. Just like Ted Cruz is irascible, is offensive to and off-putting to many people, but I like him and I vote for him. He's a gadfly. He's our gadfly. So he wins by smaller margins too because he's not a John Cornyn, and that's okay. Now, I want to say about 2 things. First of all, Randy Martin from IRSprob.com. Let me show you some pictures. First of all, this is the info on IRSprob.com. Randy's one of my sponsors. He's the title sponsor of the show. IRSprob.com, helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, and tax planning strategies. Call IRSprob.com. That's IRSprob.com, IRSprob.com, or call 214-214-3000. That's 214-214-3000. Here's some pictures of Randy, his alma mater. He spoke. He went back to UT Austin, and he spoke to the Cheerins. And I got to do something similar. Randy, I'm so proud of you. I love you very much. He's a dear friend. We met in Sunday school at First Baptist Dallas about a decade ago, and he gets to do what I got to do. He gets to go back to his alma mater and talk to the kids and inspire them. That is such a beautiful thing for my friend Randy Martin to do. And I'm going to tell you a super quick personal story. My wife and I got called back to my university where I graduated from in Illinois, Western Illinois University. Mary Madeline, who ran George Bush 1's campaign, married James Carville, which is funny. Mary Madeline went to my school as well. Just a little claim to fame there. But I was asked to come back and receive an Alumni Achievement Award, something of that nature. It was a really nice thing, and I got to speak and everything. So Randy got this time here, and it's very special. It's very special. My wife and I met on that campus, and we went back with our kids about 8 years ago. I don't know, and it was amazing. So congrats, Randy. The other thing I want to tell you about is this house. My plumbing, things clogged, pipes. I had to replace an underground. You know how pipes under the house go bad, especially the ones that are 50 years old like mine. I had to do the laundry line. From the laundry room to, it's like 17 feet. We had to get that replaced. Jim Dutton from Texas Home Improvement, he owns a company called Due West Foundation and Plumbing. If you want the best, call Due West. So Jim has installed root shields on that side of my house, that whole side of my entire house. Root shields go down 3 feet. It prevents the roots from going under your home and sucking it dry and destroying your foundation. So Jim's done all the root shields on this house. Jim's done every replacement of every pipe. Jim replaced my water heater. And Jim, this house I didn't purchase until Jim approved, until Due West Foundation Repair and Plumbing approved this foundation, and they did a static test of my plumbing. There's only one company. My wife worked for Due West with Jim and his wife, Mary. There's only one company that I use, and only and ever will use. Family owned for 2 generations now, 3rd generation, Johan and Adam, the Duttons. So if you want the best, call Due West. Here's their information. Call them at 972-406-0912, 972-406-0912. If you want the same plumber and foundation guy that I use, Jim Dutton's company, Due West Services. It's du-west.com, du-west.com. Okay. I want to give a hat tip where a hat tip is very appropriate. I don't ever want to steal somebody's stuff or be accused of that. I want to be above the board. And Kaylee Campbell, who was on this show about 2 weeks ago, she was fantastic. She is gangbusters, and I follow her on all of her channels, and I'm a big fan. So Kaylee had a post recently, and she got a hold of this is a closed group, but she got a hold of a post from Parents of Prosper ISD. And I stole this from her, her public post that's been going around out there. But this is it, Parents of Prosper ISD. Let me show you what this says. Are the libraries from Prosper Middle School parents in Prosper ISD. Are the libraries at our middle schools closed and off limits to all students except those who are fasting? Mosley Library was closed Friday for use of people fasting, so student was unable to check out the library due to this. I've never heard of this before. Can someone confirm that our middle school is allowing this and following this? I'm sorry, but I can't see how this is acceptable and fair to all the other students. Now, Kaylee Campbell reported, and apparently what's going on here is Muslim students are allowed to freaking pray in the library, and they're shutting it down for them to pray and or because they're weak and need to rest from fasting. If you are taking away my freaking child's library privileges, abilities, so that some other person with some other faith, and it's a false religion, not trying to be nasty, but it is, some other faith is taking away rights of my child because of their faith, get out. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be nasty. But do not impinge upon my child. In fact, the Supreme Court, in determining the level of protest that's allowed to happen from the Vietnam War, the groundbreaking case was Tinker versus Des Moines, the Des Moines School District. And what they ruled was that if your kid, like in the Vietnam protest, has a black armband, that is not disrupting school or the class. Therefore, that's fine. But if you disrupt class in your effort of freedom of speech or to protest or something like that, then you cannot do that. You cannot disrupt the learning environment. You cannot impinge upon my child's education for your political views. And that's exactly what these Muslim students are allegedly doing, and the Prosper ISD in the middle school allegedly are literally robbing our children of school abilities, rights to access to parts of the schools that they can't have because another faith, in this case Muslims allegedly, are taking their facilities away from them. We have in Wiley East ISD, we have halal meals being served. In Wiley East ISD, we have Wiley East High. In Wiley ISD, we have hijabs and Qurans passed out and understanding Sharia pamphlets in the middle of the day from 4 adult Muslims from a Y Islam group, which is a dawah, a proselytizing Muslim group, allowed into the school. We have an 8th grader getting passed a Quran with candy and a book on children's understanding the Quran and Arabic letters for tracing. And in the middle of class getting passed, saying, "Oh, my mom packed this for you. Can you read this Quran? I want you to read it with me." We have in suburban Houston, we have Ramadan celebrations with crescents and the crescent moon and all sorts of stuff. Hold on, let me show you that one. I had that in here. It was Ramadan Mubarak celebration in suburban Houston. Where did that one go? Did I close that one out? All right, I can't keep them all in here. Oh, no, here it is. I got it. I showed this to you the other day. Look. That is Houston area. Moms for Liberties exposed this and in at an elementary school in Houston. So there it is. They're celebrating Ramadan. Wow. Ramadan at an elementary school right in the main entrance you walk in. Also, we have, I played you a video the other day. This was unbelievable. The mom who exposed this is a hero of mine. Her son spoke out at the Wiley ISD School Board last month, and join us for the Wiley ISD School Board because Wiley East and all the Islamization of the Wiley schools is still going on. No one's been fired. No one's been done nothing to. But also in Wiley, at Cooper Junior High, I played this video for you. I said it the other day, and it's unbelievable. At Cooper Junior High, Muslim women came in and proselytized to the teachers and passed out Muslim pamphlets about how understanding Islam and understanding the child, and here's how you work with a child who's Islamic and all this stuff. And they were having Muslim food served in the teacher lounge. I mean, this is an all-out, full-scale invasion. And I'm not trying to raise anger at Muslims. I'm not trying to raise negativity towards Muslim. I'm trying to say this crap needs to stop yesterday. Q-Town Dude just commented and said, Talarico ain't no Christian. Romans 16:17, King James Version. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses, contrary to the doctrine which ye have learned, and avoid them. That's exactly right. K.C. Hansen just said, wish you were back on WBAP. WBAP didn't want me, and it's been the biggest blessing of my life. Their values are not my values. So if you like my values, that's what's going on. Let's continue on. By the way, you get me raw here. I am free. Everything I've done, and I'm not going to go off on some tangent, everything I've done in the past several weeks with going to the Wiley East High School, Wiley ISD, and speaking out against the Islamization of the schools that went viral, me going out to Kaufman County Civic Center yesterday because the Sharia city that might be built there, none of that would have been allowed. None of that's allowed where I used to work. I am free. I am free. And I can share my faith, which wasn't allowed. There's so much. I won't go into it all. So the Islamization is happening in Prosper ISD, in Wiley ISD, in suburban Houston. It is on. And Kaylee Campbell also said prayer rooms for Muslim students. We've heard about that and seen that. We know that's going on. Locking the library down for them to rest or to pray, whatever it is, during Ramadan and fasting. Being excused from extracurricular activities. All sorts of stuff. Speaker Mike Johnson spoke on this today. And because it's obviously a massive concern of every one of us. He said that he warns that Sharia law threat in America is a very serious problem, and he's right. This is from, did I pull a video? I should have pulled a video, and I swear I did, but I don't think I did. I apologize. But there's a video. I was supposed to pull it for you, but I forgot, I guess. The Jewish Bay Area, it's JCRC. It's a Jewish group representing Jews in the Bay Area. San Jose, 2 Israeli Americans were brutally attacked while speaking Hebrew. It's on my Twitter feed if you want to see it, or X feed, whatever you want to call it. The 2 Israeli Americans were brutally Israeli Americans were brutally attacked while speaking Hebrew at a restaurant on the street. You know, they have outdoor cafe things on the sidewalk. After arriving at the restaurant, they were approached by 3 unknown individuals. This is, again, on the street, outdoor cafe. They were approached by 3 unknown individuals and punched multiple times, leaving one victim briefly unconscious. Both victims were transported to the emergency room. San Jose Police Department is investigating it as a hate crime. According to one of the victims, one of the suspects yelled, and they all look like Arabic men for sure, they yelled, effing Jew, full word, while repeatedly beating him to the ground. This, I wrote, this is not my America. This is not my America. They're Islamifying, whatever you want to call it, our country. In honor of the late Jesse Jackson, I will use the Islamify. They're Islamifying our country. Yes, sir. Or yes, sir. Or Jesse, or Jackson, or Karen, or Stafford, or Ashtray, or Love Child. Remember when he had a love child with Karen Stafford from Rainbow Push, I believe? And then his wife reportedly threw an ashtray at him across the room. Yes, sir. Or Karen, or Stafford, or Love Child, or Ashtray, yes, sir. Speaking of more Islamization and terrorism, the U.S. consulate in Toronto was sprayed today by gunfire, presumably, in my opinion, terrorist act with, or assumedly with a terrorist act with Iran and how we're taking out the Iranian regime. The gunfire follows a series of, this is from the Wall Street Journal today, the gunfire follows a series of similar shootings at synagogues in the Toronto area. They're going up and shooting 30, 40, 50 bullets into synagogues. I think it's all because of the Iranian attacks. Deborah Landsberg, a rabbi at Temple Emmanuel, said she wasn't necessarily surprised by the attack, given the violence she has seen directed at the Jewish community in recent years. That is the leftists The leftist Marxists have merged, as you and I know, this is terribly dangerous and terribly serious, have merged with the Jew-hating radical Islamists. The leftist Marxists have merged with the radical Jew-hating Islamists. Until such time, once their missions are accomplished, then the Muslims, the radical Muslims, Islamists will kill their useful idiots, the Marxist leftists. Subjugate them and or kill them. We're going to get to the CNN fake, the whole unbelievable story about terrorism and their lies and how they have woke journalists over there, like super woke young journalists. I cannot wait to get into that with you. But speaking of Islamification, etc., this is from the Dallas Express today. 7-year immigration scam exposed, fraudulent H-1B visas and green cards in North Texas. This today in the Dallas Express. Abdul Hadi Murshid and Muhammad Salman Nasir arrested, charged with mass visa fraud, mass immigration fraud, and living in million-dollar homes, and including by the federal government charges, indictments, including for their own selves to get citizenship. Here we go. Fraudulent visa applications. They are alleged, prosecutors allege they had fraudulent visa applications, including those for H-1B work visas and for employment-based green cards. Prosecutors allege the scheme ran for more than 7 years, from 2018 to 2025. Visa fraud, money laundering, large-scale immigration fraud operation, H-1B visa system. By the way, I want to thank again Casey Hansen and the Q-Town dude for messaging me. You can do that too. I think they're doing it through Facebook. No, I'm sorry, through YouTube. I think YouTube and Rumble work. So follow me on YouTube and Rumble. Just type in Croc Talk, Kroktalk. Here we go. Actually, it's right here. Hello, Croc Talk. Follow me on those two right there, and then you can message me in real time and watch the show in real time. Okay? Now. Visa fraud, large-scale immigration fraud operation, H-1B visa system they allegedly used for temporary high-skilled workers and EB-2 and EB-3 employment-based green card pathways. This is massive fraud. The H-1B visa program allowed foreign nationals to obtain temporary status, to obtain employment in specialty occupations, stealing our jobs just like all the other H-1B visas. Look at this. Where are these guys from? Remember, the offenders, the indicted are Abdul Hadi Murshid and Muhammad Salman Nasir. Well, where are the people they were allegedly scheming and bringing in illegally with H-1B visa fraud? Pakistan, Egypt, India, Nepal, the UK, and they also allegedly sought permanent residency. They did knowingly, federal government says, this is by way of the Dallas Express still, they did knowingly procure and obtain and attempt to procure and obtain naturalization and citizenship for himself, Abdul Hadi Murshid, that is, to which he was not entitled, the indictment says. He provided false testimony, allegedly, and asked whether he committed crimes, and then when asked whether he committed crimes, prosecutors said during his citizenship, he committed fraud and false testimony when he said he hadn't committed crimes, apparently. Property records cited in the filings indicate that Nasir owns a home in Prosper valued at $1 million. What's his name? The great Mel... Who's the great... History of the World Part 2, whatever one. Not Mel Gibson. Mel... Blazing Saddles. Well, I can't remember his last name. Anyways, remember that the best movie he ever did was History of the World Part 1, or was it called History of the World Part 2? I can't remember. It's good to be the king. In this case, he would say, it's good to have fraud. That's what he would say. So make sure you follow me there. Because if you follow me on Rumble and YouTube at the bottom of the screen there, you can see you'll be able to message me in real time like these folks have. And you can too. All right, this is it. Fake news CNN caught in adoring and excusing terrorists. The two radical Islamist terrorists who I played you the audio and video, the video of yesterday, yelling Allahu Akbar and jumping over a leftist and hurling IEDs. Brooks, thank you. There you go, Casey Hansen, Mel Brooks, thank you. Well, how come I couldn't forget that? I haven't watched the HBO special that they have of him, 99 and counting, or whatever it is, but I want to. Okay, CNN does creative writing. I'm going to read this from my friend Eric Erickson. I'm going to put up the post. This is their adoration and love of these terrorists in New York City. Hold on, here, let me play this. Pull this up. I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to put it on the screen. Here we go. All right, so this is what CNN... Oh, let me take off my logo. This is what CNN posted. Come on, logo, go bye-bye. This is what CNN... There you go. CNN posted this up, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to go in depth on this. Now, I'm reading the quotations from CNN, but also from my buddy Eric Erickson, who's a brilliant writer. CNN does creative writing, he says. Here's the quotation. It's on your screen. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning. Okay? They're very innocuous, very innocent. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. See, it could have been a normal day. Everything was great. Somebody messed it up. Somebody bleeped it up. Could have been a normal day. 2 Pennsylvania teenagers crossed into New York City Saturday morning for what could have been a normal day, enjoying the city during abnormally warm weather. But in less than an hour, something happened to them. Their victims, let's see. In less than an hour, their lives would drastically change as the pair would be arrested for throwing homemade bombs during an anti-Muslim protest outside of Mayor Zoran Mamdani's home. An anti-Muslim protest. So these guys are anti-Muslim. The whole thing is a bastardized lie. The question is, who wrote this? CNN is fake news. They're worse than fake news. They lie. They rig. This is CNN. Or as James Earl Jones used to say, this is CNN. I think I sounded better than he did, but that's okay. Now, my buddy Eric Erickson says, and they put, here's what we know so far. My buddy says, they even tweeted it out. And I showed you that tweet. They even tweeted it out. That quote was not just the tweet, but it was the opening of the news article. So the opening of the whole news article said this. How they're innocent, something was done to them, they were just enjoying a day, but something happened. Anti-Muslim people, something happened. So they even wrote that in their news article, quote-unquote news article. What my buddy writes, he says, Eric Erickson writes, what will not surprise you is that the author uses they, them pronouns. And she graduated from Columbia University's journalism program. They are taught to be victims. They are taught to be advocates for victims. They are taught that whites are bad, that blacks, minorities, people from Gaza, Arabs are victims. Asians are white and they're oppressors. Whites are white and oppressors. Jews are whites and they're oppressors, and they're genociding Arabs, which is totally false. Arabs are genociding Israelis, as we know, and Americans on October 7th. But continuing on, she uses they, them pronouns. This is the author of the piece. This is how the author of the piece describes herself. Remember, she uses they, them pronouns. Taylor Romine is a journalist studying at Columbia University Graduate School of Journalism. They, not she has previously, they have previously worked at KPFA Pacifica Radio, the Daily Californian, Listen Local San Diego, writing about a range of topics from music videos to city politics. Gee, I wonder what kind of politics she was talking about. They, not her or she, holds a BA in Media Studies and a BA in and a BA in Gender and Women's Studies from the UC Berkeley, the University of California. This is a crazy leftist who is out for change. I'm gonna cause change. She's an activist. A lot of these journalists are. A lot of them are. They're not journalists. They're activists. They are openly destroying their own profession. Openly destroying their own profession. Fake News CNN posted an apology and a follow-up. Even Brian Stelter, who I can't stand. That's my impersonation of Brian Stelter. CNN says a post regarding, I don't know, that's a horrible noise, but that's how I think of him. Sorry. CNN says a post regarding the 2 individuals. CNN's apologizing. Watch this. A post regarding the 2 individuals arrested for throwing homemade bombs outside of New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani's home failed to reflect the gravity of the incident, thereby breaching the editorial standards we require for all our reporting. It has therefore been deleted. However, because of community notes in Twitter, they corrected CNN. Here we go. Readers added context they thought might want to know. CNN deleted the post without clarifying that it was not anti-Muslim protesters who threw the bombs. Again, it was not anti-Muslim protesters who threw the bombs, as the original post framed as likely. The two screamed, Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! My wife, every time my voice goes up, she's worried I'm yelling. She's like, you're yelling at that. Allahu Akbar! While throwing the bombs, they screamed that. Upon arrest, they confessed and pledged allegiance to ISIS, but CNN did everything it could to hide it. But they hid it so much so that people noticed. So then they deleted it and said, oh. Marco Lopez, who I saw in, Marco's awesome. I saw him in Kaufman. Marco and his son are just wonderful patriots. His son's got a massive future. Anyway, Marco says, Talarico is worse than Beto. Beto ran 3 times and lost every time because we the people saw right through the lies. Hopefully everyone sees through Talarico. They will. Right now, Cornyn and Paxton are battling it out, but eventually when they're done, it's on. And I truly think that Beto had a better chance of beating than Talarico, because Talarico has said so many things, like the trans stuff is done. That battle's over and it was lost. Talarico says 6 genders. That is over and it is lost. Those are the horrible positions. Those are like 80-20 positions. The lies about scriptures are going to offend a lot of people who know doctrine, and I think that he's a bad candidate. I think somebody said he could be the Antichrist. I don't think he's the Antichrist. I mean, if he becomes the president, I would say he probably is, but I don't think he is. He bastardizes God's word. And I'll go back to the scripture verse that I was telling you about earlier that really is exactly who James Talarico is. Here we go. 2 Timothy 4, verse 3. This is the NASB 1995 version. My church uses NASB just for craps and giggles, so you know. For the time will come, 2 Timothy 4:3. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but wanting to have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance with their own desires. That's James Talarico. Good point, Marcos. Okay, Right Angle News about CNN and their post trying to excuse and pretend the Islamists weren't Islamists and that they are victims. Right Angle News says the 2 CNN quote-unquote journalists are Taylor Romine and Gloria Pazmino, both liberal women. Shocker. That's who CNN hires. Brian Stelter, the one who I said, Brian Stelter said that the network was, quote, rightly criticized. He said, hey, you said the quiet part out loud. I agree with you, but shh, you're not supposed to say it that loudly, that obviously. What else do I have for you? Oh, this is great. Now, this is great. And one of the reasons why I'm sharing this with you is because the CEO of Dallas Express, Chris Putnam, had a tweet that was so perfect. I'm going to share with you about Fort Worth ISD. People are worried about illegals getting rounded up at Fort Worth ISD. I can't wait to tell you about that. But that has something to do with why the state's taking over their school board and the superintendent's getting thrown out. But hold on. New Tarrant, this is great. And this is great because Marcos is listening, and for a lot of people that are watching right now, watching, we're at the Wiley ISD school board meeting, and we each got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Unless you're a Muslim, then you got 2.5 to 3 minutes. I'm not kidding you. The Muslims were allowed to go way over because the fake Republicans that run the school board for Wiley ISD love Islam. Islamic people. They can break all the rules. If you're not Muslim, you can't break any rules. You get no special food, but if you're Muslim, you get halal. If you're Muslim, adults get to come in and proselytize in the middle of the day to your kids and pass out Qurans, hijabs, and understanding Sharia pamphlets and candy. And they also get to come in and bring food to 8th grade teachers to proselytize them and teach them how to teach the Muslim kids by bringing them food in 8th grade Cooper Middle School. They also have kids passing out Qurans and books to help children learn the Quran, along with hijabs and candy in classrooms in another 8th grade school. But we spoke out at the Wiley ISD School Board, and we were limited to 2 minutes. And I have to tell you, I did not think that was unfair. I thought it was unfair as Muslims got to speak for 2.5 to 3 minutes. We didn't. But 2 minutes is fair. Now comes the new Tarrant public policy on speaking, and this is from the Star-Telegram today, the liberal Star-Telegram. New Tarrant public comment policy did not deter critics. Roughly 40 people signed up to speak. It was about deaths in the county jail, but few noted their disdain for only having a couple minutes to address their entire agenda packet. Well, about 20 or 30 patriots and about 10 to 15 Muslim people, I don't know how many total, spoke at that Wiley ISD School Board, and we all had 2 minutes, except for the Muslims. They had 3 probably, from what I saw. But 2 minutes is enough. So what I would say to you is, quoting Arnold Schwarzenegger from Kindergarten Cop, stop whining. Fort Worth ISD community calls for passage of immigration policy. This is why Fort Worth ISD was taken over by the state. This is why they have like the Barack Obama leadership. It's basically teaching your children to be activists and useful idiots in Fort Worth ISD. And this is why they're failing. And this is why they were taken over. Fort Worth ISD community calls for passage of immigration policy. They want to pass policies that protect children from the immigration people that could come into school and deport them. I mean, we might as well be living in California at this rate. Weeks before the TEA is expected to take over the district, Fort Worth ISD community members, the Star-Telegram reports, are asking the school board to again, this is what they want to focus on, again, consider implementing a policy to protect students from immigration raids. They want to waste time because they're worried that immigration agents are going to come in and raid the school. It doesn't happen. It never happens. The only way they would go into a school would be to talk to a child for an investigatory reason that is important, like serious. But they're not doing raids in schools. This is all a lie. But this is why the Fort Worth ISD School Board is being taken over, because they fail, because they train kids to be useful, ignorant idiots, to be Barack Hussein Obama, to be leftist activists, to be goons on the street that know nothing up here. So, the proposal includes, this is what they're trying to do right now, before the state takes over the school board. I mean, they are clinging to everything that caused them to fail. It's unbelievable. Their proposal includes a requirement that school personnel attempt to contact the parents of any student involved in an immigration inquiry. How about contacting parents if the kid says I'm trans so we can know about it? No. We're trying to protect illegals here. The school staff receive training on immigration laws. They want to train the school staff on immigration laws when they can't freaking teach our kids. They want to train immigration laws to the teachers to adequately protect students, and that requests for access to non-public areas of school property from immigration law enforcement be unpermitted without signed judicial warrant. They are literally repeating what Chicago, where I fill in regularly where I'm from, and California Democrats, what they say and what they do. We need to pass a law. They can't stop immigration. They cannot from going anywhere. But yet they're trying to create rules that stop them. These are professional A-grade, A-level leftist lunatics like we have in Chicago. That's insane. Fort Worth ISD is insane. Wow. A similar proposal has been brought forward by Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD, which is where that principal in Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD, I'm trying to remember the school, is Boswell High School. Boswell High School, where he was caught on tape, I've played it for you, seemingly encouraging the kids and saying, you're going to protest, I want to make sure you're safe, I got you. I gotcha. And he says also with Azle and with all the other local school districts, like in other words, you guys are together, yeah. He should be fired and lose his teaching certificate. And I never heard back. I'm gonna have to re-email. I've showed you the picture time and time again. I think I took it out from my repertoire. I can only have so many pictures here before I get like 50 million things, and I gotta have what I'm playing during the show lined up. So, I've shown you the picture of the teacher who looks like it's a teacher protesting with the students. I never heard back from Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD when I asked them directly. Now, there is an impending state takeover, of course, it says in the Star Telegram. I wonder why there's an impending state takeover. Could it be because of stuff like this? Trustee Michael Ryan. He's the only one of the school board members that talked to the Star Telegram. And, Trustee Michael Ryan. He says he raised the concern of teachers or staff being arrested for hindering or obstructing law enforcement activity that would put their teaching licenses in jeopardy. Yeah, you damn right. If you go in and you try to interfere with law enforcement, you're going to get arrested and charged. The legal department, he says, is looking into what our employees should do to work within the legal framework to take care of our children and to fully comply with the law. So anyways, I urge you in Fort Worth ISD to break the rules, to break the law, so that we can arrest you, charge you, and throw your butt out and take away your teaching certificate. All right. And so all that leading to the CEO of Dallas Express, Chris Putnam, tweeted out this today. Fort Worth ISD is a dumpster fire where only 30% of students, as low as 6% on some campuses, read at grade level. I repeat, Fort Worth ISD, only 30% are reading at grade level. In some schools, only 6%. And this is what they want to focus on. And this is what James Talarico wants to take your money and spend it on. Fraud and lies. Putnam says the district has rightfully been taken over by the state. Perhaps they should focus on teaching kids to read instead of fretting about illegals. That's exactly right. Victories for us in Texas again. Jobs and companies coming here. ExxonMobil has officially pulled up stakes and left New Jersey for Houston. Over the past several years, they write, in a testament to Texas freedom, pro-business policies and low regulations. Over the past several years, ExxonMobil chairman and CEO Darren Wood says, Texas has made a noticeable effort to embrace the business community, he said to the Dallas, this is in the Dallas Express today. In doing so, it has created a policy and regulated environment that can allow the company to maximize shareholder value. Aligning our legal home with our operating home in a state that understands our business and has a stake in the company's success is important. That's why we got another company in the great state of Texas. Welcome, ExxonMobil, I should say. And then the same thing happened, and that was out of New Jersey, and out of California. Yamaha just left California today. They're going to, unfortunately, Georgia is not a red state anymore. It's a semi-red. I mean, it's just, I can't believe that. I lived there, and I did a talk show at the big talk station there in Atlanta, and I just can't believe that. But anyways, Orange County, Yamaha Motor Corp is now leaving after 50 years. They're abandoning California, Orange County. And they're moving to Kennesaw, Georgia, which is not too far from where I was living when I was in Atlanta, suburban Atlanta. In 2019, Mitsubishi Motors North America ditched their headquarters in Orange County, California as well, and now they're in Franklin, Tennessee. Everybody's abandoning Gavin Newsom's California, and I know why, and you know why. Oh, this is it right here. Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me, bro. A long time ago, I did a stunt. When I was in Atlanta, I did a stunt where I had the official sheriff's deputies tase me live on the air to show that I supported it and why there's nothing to fear. But I'll tell you this, I rode the Lightning. But after riding that Lightning, if somebody gets tased and they still come back and they have to get tased again, because I was terrified they were going to do it again. Because and I wanted to act it out like as if I was a bad guy on the radio during my show. And so we were outside in the courtyard, and there was a mat, and several sheriff deputies were there, and they said, get on the ground now. And I said, no. They said, get on the ground now. I said, no. And then, and I went, and I fell straight down on the mat. It was only 5 seconds of riding the lightning, but that pain was so traumatic and serious and bad. When I was on the ground, he said, "Stop moving!" And I literally said, "No more, please. Oh, my God." And I said the S word, and because I thought he was going to do it again. And he didn't. So if anybody has to get tased a separate time, you know they're insanely high and dangerous, period. Now, man tased by DART passenger, the mugger mover, the jail rail. Man tased by DART passenger in self-defense, later arrested on drug charges. DART police arrested a man on drug charges, but not before he was tased by a passenger in self-defense. Prior to getting arrested last week, the man who was tased, Stacy Bell, was tasered by a DART passenger acting in self-defense after Bell allegedly was behaving erratically. He admitted to having smoked PCP. Welcome to the jail rail. Welcome to the mugger mover. He admitted to smoking PCP to DART police, who also found PCP in his possession. He was arrested on narcotics charges. Before he was arrested, video captured Bell being hit with a stun gun by DART passenger. If it was me and I had to deploy something, it would be my gun, my firearm, my GAT, which is right here. Right there, baby. Before he was arrested, video captured Bell being hit by a stun gun by a DART passenger. He is then seen running away from the passenger who chases after him with a stun gun. I wouldn't go after anybody with a stun gun. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. Going back to 95, this man, which is why we call it the jail rail, the mugger mover, this man has 13 criminal cases in Dallas County. Know who you're riding the jail rail with. Somebody who's been arrested 13, 14 times now. He was kind of like dancing, walking around the street, said one witness, so I knew he had to be on something. And then I started hearing like a taser sound. It's electric, boogie oogie. That's great. I'm hearing screaming and yelling. I love this. Just another day on the jail rail. Holland says it's normal, quote unquote, to see people on drugs at DART stations, but he's never seen anything like what happened last Wednesday. Marquin Hollins, that's the guy, the witness. That's so awesome. I love this. He rode the lightning. Let's see. Marco says when you got tased, did you say S word or cattle? Yeah. Remember when they bleeped my viral video that went out viral? They bleeped when I said cattle twice. I said Sharia treats women like cattle. These women are not cattle. And whoever created the video, I'll play a quick segment of it here for you. Bleeped me out when I said cattle both times, and said I said the S word, which I didn't. So Marco says, when you were tased, did you say the S word or cattle? No, I said the S word. I was on the radio. I wouldn't have done that, but I was in shock and trauma, man, when I rode that lightning. Here we go. Here's my little video. My hands high up in the air. Here we go.
America is a Christian nation.
Amen.
The principal, 1 year ago, the principal on the same day, World Hijab Day, wore that hijab and said she loved it, all caps. 1 year to the day later, on World Hijab Day, Sunday, Monday hits, they're putting our girls in Sharia. They're passing out Sharia pamphlets, hijabs, Qurans, understanding Islam, understanding Sharia. Sharia treats half of this room like and these women are not. This is.
I did not say the S word. I clearly say cattle. You can see my mouth go cattle on the second one. The first one, my head's away. But I don't care. Whatever you want to think I said is whatever you want to think I said. But okay, that's great. That is great. Good job, Marcos. Emails show AT&T CEO. Oh, this is from the Dallas Express. This is great. Dallas Express did a records request. Every record or email or all these communications between the AT&T CEO John Stankey and the city of Dallas, including city manager Kimberly Beiser Tolbert, in 2025, and it shows AT&T CEO raised crime and governance concerns with Dallas leaders before they decided to leave, months before they said they were leaving, I should say. The chief previously warned Dallas leaders about crime and governance months before the company announced plans to leave downtown. Emails released by the city of Dallas show Stankey raised concerns. What a name, Stanky. You Stanky! Let's see here. I'm just making sure people are commenting over there. Okay, you Stanky. Anyways, emails released by the Dallas City of Dallas show that Stanky raised concerns during exchanges with city manager Kimberly Beiser Tobert. Ongoing and cyclical nature. Here's some of the things he said. The ongoing and cyclical nature of our challenges with effective, sustained governance of the city. They talk about how not having a healthy business environment and neighborhood. Achieving, quote unquote, a sustaining, safe, and functional environment that is welcoming to commerce, investment, individuals has been a challenge. By the way, Mayor Johnson, fake Republican in Dallas, you lost AT&T. Great job. You just like the horrifying mayor in Chicago. What's his name? Mayor Johnson. Mayor Johnson. I can't remember the guy's name. I can't believe it. I got his face in my head. Conehead. My dad calls him Conehead because he's got the haircut like this. Anyways, he's just like the mayor of Chicago. City leaders were aware, meaning he's going to lose the Bears, and thanks to Mayor Johnson, the fake Republican, who when he gets called out says it's racist for what you say. Mayor Eric Johnson. Good job. Your legacy is getting AT&T leaving the city. Good job. Achieving and sustaining a safe and functional environment that is welcoming to commerce, investment, and individuals has been a challenge, he says. Stanky, the CEO of AT&T, said to Tolbert, nobody has been more interested in removing this distraction from their primary charter than me. City leaders were aware the telecommunications company was considering relocation options months before the announcement was made. The correspondence obtained through records requests shows that Stanky, Dallas Express reports, had raised concern about crime, safety, and governance months before they finalized their decision to move operations to Plano. Now we're going to do a little fun stuff here at the end. Wall Street Journal, Vance or Rubio in 2028. They're talking about how Trump is much more partial to Rubio, it appears, and I agree. Rubio. No question. Marco Rubio. He has performed and performed. I like Vance, but Rubio is more mainstream, and his experience is vast. And I'm glad that Trump seems to favor Rubio, because I do too. Vance can be VP again. That's fine with me. Okay. Golden Corral customer. Now a little fun. Golden Corral customer left with irreversible injuries after workers stabbed him with a fork over dine and dash accusation. If you dine and dash, you get the shiv. A Nevada man sued Golden Corral after 3 of its employees, who he claims attacked him and stabbed him with a fork after accusing him of not paying his bill. The employee, he alleges, of the buffet-style restaurant approached their table 20 minutes into the meal, accused them of skipping out on the check. He said he had a receipt showing he had paid for all three people. The manager got more aggressive, demanded they leave. The customer stood up to hand over his silverware to another employee. The employee grabbed him by his neck and slammed him into the table. Wow. That's one way to make somebody pay their bill or get them out of the establishment. Rachel Zegler. This is Snow Woke. Remember Snow Woke? Who hates America, hates conservatives, hates us, etc. Actress Rachel Zegler fired back at critics once again for backlash, casting her in Disney's Snow Woke remake. They lost $170 million. Good job. Stay woke. Go broke. Stay woke. Or stay woke. Go broke. Go woke. Go broke. Criticism for the movie as woke, and Ziegler's political tweets about the storyline and her thoughts on Middle East sparked backlash. You damn right. Oh, she told Harper's Bazaar what? Harper's Bazaar UK that she addressed the hostilities she experienced, including those who didn't want somewhat of Colombian ancestry pulling Snow White. Nobody gives a frog's fat what your ancestry is. You are super woke, you hate us, and you attack the original Snow White. You're done, and that's why you lost. I was told I wasn't enough of one thing for West Side Story and too much of the other for Snow White. You're such a victim. Oh, you poor thing. Get out of here. And here's we'll close out with this. Toaster-shaped box. And here it is. Toaster-shaped Zoox robots head to Phoenix and Dallas. Hard pass. Absolutely not. Hell to the no. Did you know that Waymo One of their Waymo vehicles in Austin, self-autonomous, supposedly blocked the Austin police from responding to that terrorist that shot up and killed those people at that bar. I don't want any of this crap anywhere. And here we go. One more tidbit from the Dallas Express. Angler arrested for cheating after tournament. Officials flag bass as fishy, quote-unquote. A metal detector, Texas Game Wardens, Lake Fork Lure Company and Tournament, March 8th. Bass submitted by Curtis Lee Daniels. A metal detector at the weigh-in detected foreign objects inside of the fish. They found 3 weights in the bass stomach. Third-degree felony because the prize exceeded $10,000. Wow. Before that, he had claimed 2 hourly prizes totaling $2,500. Well, good job catching him. He's from Festus, Missouri, and he goes home with a felony arrest and no prize money. I will see you tomorrow, of course, for the Croc Talk with Chris Croc podcast. But this show is brought to you by IRSprob.com, 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 helping good people with IRS problems, specializing in IRS controversy, IRS audits, tax planning strategies. He's my CPA, Randy Martin. He's amazing. He's a dear friend. Call his office at 214-214-3000. That's 214-214-3000. And tell him Chris Croc sent you. I will see you mañana, amigos.